now we are very honored to have with us all the way from Taiwan. Wow, first of all, it looks sunny there. Rabbi, thank you so much for taking time and coming and joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Welcome.
It's a pleasure. I'm sorry, this is a little bit of I had to rework my schedule to make this work. So I apologize in advance. I'm going to enter in a car, which I don't have to drive. Somebody's driving me, so I can be focused on the conversation, and you've got a lovely community. So if you give me just a minute, I'm trying to cross a very central road in Taiwan.
Be careful. Be careful.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes open.
I should probably keep my eyes on the road and not on the phone. But in the meantime, you could continue where you stopped. I'll be happy. You said the Parsha thought. I'm happy to hear Parsha thought.
Okay, so I'll quickly just finish up the thought. You cross the street carefully, please.
Okay.
Keep your eyes open. So in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe explains that the way that I love my neighbor as myself is by identifying that which me and my neighbor have in common, which is our common neshama. That I start thinking about myself by my neshama, and therefore I think of my neighbor by his neshama. And once I'm thinking about my neshama, well, my neshama needs kosher and matzah and mezuzah and tefillin and the man God mitzvahs as well. Okay, Rabbi, did you make it across the street?
I did. I made it across the street into the car. Going into the car.
Okay, what do you have, a Chrysler from Detroit?
I have a what? Chrysler? No. Actually, Nissan from Japan. But,
beautiful. Okay.
That's close enough.
That's perfect. Okay, let's get started. First of all, again, thank you, 1,000 thank yous. Let's start from the beginning. How long have you been in Taiwan?
We've been here 10 years. Coming up, Gimel Tammuz, we came here. That's not too long in. About 10 years. Coming up is 10 years.
So if you would, take us back 10 plus years ago. You get married. Where are you from? Where do you grow up? And where's your wife from? And what in the world possesses you to move to Taiwan?
Okay, so try to answer. First thing is first. I'm from Israel, born and raised in Israel. So is my wife, born and raised in Israel. We got married in 2006. Actually 9/11. Then we had twins. Kind of ironic. Wow. But anyways, beautiful. That's our wedding anniversary is 9/11. Not the same year, but. Anyway, that was Chai Elul. Of course, that's the more significant of dates. And then after the wedding, we went to Hong Kong, of all places, and we were starting the Chabad there in the other part of Hong Kong under Rabbi Atson, who's been in Hong Kong for 30 plus years now. Back then it was 20 plus years. And then we, after 3 years in Hong Kong, we have received we were approached by headquarters, and they need someone to relocate to Taiwan and start the Jewish community here. So we took a few trips from Hong Kong to Taiwan. It's quite short, just an hour and a half on the plane. And then it ended up with us moving here. First going to Israel, having our twins, which we were expecting for quite some time. And then after they were born, we came to Taiwan. We were contemplating between Taiwan and Angola. And I really think we did the right choice. I mean, with all due respect to the rabbi in Angola and his family. I actually went to see, it reminds me of an anecdote. What led us to thinking about Angola was I'm related to some big diamond person, jewelry person, a person who does diamonds, and in Israel. Now he lives abroad. But anyways, and he was working in Angola, and he said to me about having so many Jews there. And we went to visit some people would have companies, and we went to Levayev. Lev Levayev, his brother is a diamond dealer, Moshe Levayev. We went to see him in the diamond district in Israel, and it was the funniest meeting. He says to me, I heard you want to go to Angola. I said, yeah, we're thinking about it. He said, I've been to Angola once. I said, well, how was it? He said, I stayed for 6 minutes. I said, what do you mean you stayed for 6 minutes? So apparently they flew there with a private jet, and they were supposed to have a meeting with someone. And, they went out of the plane, and they're waiting for this person to come. And he doesn't show up, and he says to the people around, "Where's the guy?" And they said he's dead. He said, "What do you mean he's dead? I spoke to this morning." He said, yeah, he was bitten by a mosquito with malaria, with some disease. Anyway, he went to the hospital and died.
Hey.
So he says, okay, I'm going back to my plane and I'll call you on Skype. We'll continue we'll continue the meeting on Skype. So he said, okay, so I think you should stick to Taiwan. That's what the person I went to helped me to go to Angola told me that we should go to Taiwan. So I guess that's how this ended.
This is wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so you decided to come to Taiwan. What was in Taiwan? What kind of Jewish community is in Taiwan? What is it?
Well, Taiwan is a very safe and secure island, although they do depict sometimes as a place of tension with China. Taiwan is an independent country in 1948, which is around the time of Israel, after the ending of World War II. The general and the chief of staff and a lot of the Chinese elite military and very important people had fled China because of the taking over the communism. And one thing that this person, the general, was actually the president of China. His name was Chiang Kai-shek at that time. One thing he knew very well was to assess and to see where he's holding. And as soon as he saw the communists are actually taking no captivity, as they say, and they're taking over and not leaving any traces, so they fled. They came here to Taiwan and they founded the Republic of China, which is the official name of this country. It is instead of the People's Republic of China, which is the name of China. People's as in, it's just a communist thing, the flag and everything. So they started this island. Initially, there weren't too many Jews. I know of a record of one Jewish fellow named Cohen who lived here in those years, but unfortunately, we've never found his graveyard. They said he was one of the bodyguards of Chiang Kai-shek and his military. So, a person from Europe, but we couldn't find his. I was trying for a while to find. And the community came together, in the 60s, 70s, specifically 80s, when everything, you probably know better, you seem slightly older than me, when all the toys and everything was made in Taiwan. You remember that? Everything was handmade in Taiwan in the back. So that's when this was thriving. And of course, a lot of Jewish people came here to do business. China was completely closed. So everything that was made in the East was made here. And then the community grew. But unfortunately, which is quite surprising, they never had a permanent place. They never had a proper synagogue. Oh, prior to that, I forgot to say, the U.S. had, United States Armed Forces had military bases, army bases around the island. So there were some chaplains and there were some Jews, like in other places. So they had a little bit of a facility, but 79, when the Americans left Taiwan, and nothing stayed. They didn't leave anything behind when it comes to infrastructure, because it was all dependent on the military infrastructure. So the community, when we came here 2011, we had a list that was compiled by the Merka Shlichas Bachim, which are single guys that would go during the summer and sometimes during high holidays. We had 70 names. And we started from scratch. We met with the people that were on the list, and we started collecting information and looking online and finding different people and going to the American club and speaking at the American school and going to other places. And within a short while, we got to about 250 Jews. And then now we have about 1,500 to 1,700 Jews living across the island. We didn't import anyone here. I mean, yeah, of course, people came, but we just discovered a lot of people that were here and didn't have a sense of community. And as soon as we came and we put together the things we do, so people started coming together and being a part of our community.
So there's 1,500 Jews. What prompts the Jews to live there? Like what do they do? Are they there permanently? Are they there for a couple of years? Like what is their
Okay, so basically the biggest industry Taiwan has nowadays, like I said, it's no longer a super production place for toys and all these things that are made in China now. But instead, Taiwan's biggest industry is the semiconductor industry, which is basically information technology, high tech. 70% of the world's laptops are made in Taiwan. I'm talking to you from an iPhone and Apple device, which is made by a Taiwanese company. They're the biggest subcontractor of Apple. They're called Foxconn. The biggest chip manufacturer not potato chips. I mean, you know what I mean, right? So it's called TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Company, the corporation. They're the biggest chip designer and producer in the world. So a lot of the Jews would naturally be in that business, in the business of high tech. Many other companies would have CFOs that are Jews, because the anti-Semites, they we're good with money. Apparently, there's one thing they're right about, and we have a lot of people coming from back and forth from Israel, of course, short of COVID, because of Israel's very strong R&D, research and development, and many of the things that are developed in Israel are implemented and made here in Taiwan.
So how do you get supplies? I mean, how do you get kosher food? How do you if someone has a baby, how do you get a mile? Are you a mile? I mean, how do you get stuff that we here in America just assume maybe you have to drive 20 minutes, maybe someplace you drive an hour, but how do you get materials, especially with COVID and so on? How do you get basic Jewish stuff? If your yarmulke blows out the window, how do you get another yarmulke?
I print them actually. we make them here actually, so that's easy for the yarmulkes. With the kosher food from Israel, we import a container once or twice a year. Chicken, I studied how to chef before coming here. I studied how to do chickens. I personally never liked it. I just did it because I thought so we won't starve. So I tried a few times to do it here. It's not so easy. So last year we imported, just before Corona hit, we imported a container of frozen chicken from the United States. We have a shipment of frozen beef coming to us from Paraguay, because Paraguay is an ally of Taiwan. So we actually had the shliach there, Rabbi Feigelstock, to take care of us. There was some staff from Israel going there to do shchita for Israel, and we actually made them stay another day, so they did another shchita for us. So we have beef coming up. The very first time in history we're going to have kosher steak in Taiwan. So it's very exciting, very exciting. So it's so exciting that even the Israeli embassy in Paraguay and Taiwan made it a big deal. They actually took a photo. They took a photo of the container. I could send it to you later, with the Israel flag, Taiwan flag, and Paraguay flag.
Oh, that would be wonderful. We'll post it tomorrow. That would be wonderful.
I'll send it to you. It's surely an interesting thing how, we say this in Hebrew, there's a saying, we say, La'atzlacha avot rabim, akishalon yatom. Success has many fathers, but failure is an orphan. So, when you make something and you're successful, so all of a sudden everybody wants to take a piece of that. Say, oh yeah, we've been helping all along. Yeah, we've been facilitating it. Yeah, but why not? Sure.
That's fantastic. So what would you say has been in 10 years, the biggest challenge, like that maybe you didn't even expect? Even, I don't know what, I think Hong Kong compared to Taiwan it's like Yerushalayim to where you are. And what's been like sort of the best surprise, the best thing that's happened that surprised you didn't anticipate was going to go so wonderfully?
Okay, so we're working now on building a center, a Chabad house, which features a mikveh. For us, the lack of mikveh, ritual bath in Taiwan has always been an issue. Although we're an island, we're surrounded by an ocean, but going to the beach here is not necessarily easy. And even if several women from the community who are observant would go, but influencing others to go would be a very serious challenge. We made attempts in the past to build a mikveh. We tried to buy someplace, we tried to rent someplace, and now, Baruch Hashem, 2 years ago, we finally secured a place, and we're actually in the process of building. We wanted to open it for the high holidays, but it's getting a little delayed. But it's going to have a state-of-the-art mikveh, and a restaurant, and a kindergarten.
Oh, wow.
Just a proper Chabad house as it should be.
That is wonderful. That is.
What is the most pleasant surprise? The most pleasant surprise is actually the local people. They are very, very friendly, very nice. Courtesy is really a big word here, and it's considered to be, the island with the nicest people in the world. I saw some websites defining it. The people here are very friendly, and they have no prejudice against Jews. Quite the contrary, they consider Jewish people to be very wise, very smart, very rich, which sometimes, I try not to ruin to the other Jews, because I'm not that rich. So,
Bring the meter
there's a
income
lot of respect from the local authorities, the local government. Since Taiwan is a democracy, so we managed to establish our association. The Chabad is a nonprofit registered here. So, there's some of my colleagues in other countries in Asia. This is just a dream for them to make, but thank God for us, it worked out. And I guess we're just looking forward with Corona. One of the things I wanted to mention is that Taiwan was actually spared from Corona. Taiwan is the first country in the world that notified the WHO, the World Health Organization, of the existence of Corona. There's actually emails from 2019 that show that Taiwan had warned. The first place to block flights from China is Taiwan because of coronavirus. So it ended up a year and a half into coronavirus, which is almost where we're at now. Taiwan had 1,040 or 1,030 cases in this whole year and a half, out of which 11 people, succumbed to it, but the rest of the people had survived and lived to tell. So Taiwan never had any lockdowns or any or any something, any things like that. And you would need to quarantine when you come to the country, but the rest of the time everything stayed open. Businesses, restaurants, shopping malls, stores, schools, everything remained open throughout the time. So I know it's a big deal, specifically where you are. So we're very fortunate.
I have to ask you this
that
question. You're from Israel, West from Israel, you live in Taiwan. How'd you learn to speak English so well?
When I sleep, an angel teaches me. That's
fantastic. We've been blessed over this whole year, and we've started this program doing this learning on Zoom and having special guests from all over the world, from Cambodia, Rabbi Putman, and from all over the United States and so on. I always ask them to tell us one story, but tonight I'm going to give you a special treat. I'm going to tell you a story, or better, I'm going to have one of our participants tell you a story, if he unmutes, about Chabad in Taiwan. Here's a face you may remember. Let's go.
No.
Here's Mr. and Mrs. Pine, who live here
Can you hear us?
In Skokie. We hear you. And they came to visit Taiwan. What was it, 3 years ago? Give us the brief version.
Actually, we think it was 2013.
2013. And Rabbi, you were out of town. You went to Israel for a month.
You
left two Buchers there. They were 20, 21 years old. And we visited Taiwan. We made sure we went for Friday night services. We had probably 30 people, a few motorcycles, a lot of Israelis were there. And we had a wonderful, wonderful time. These Buchers were like, they were doing everything they wanted. They were trying to do everything and make everyone happy. So to make a long story short, we had a wonderful time in Taiwan, only about 10 or 15 earthquakes. I want everyone to understand Taiwan has a lot of earthquakes. They're just small tremors. They're really not much of anything. And we went to the center. They have a national forest. We went hiking all over. Anyway, so Friday night we come to you. Saturday we come back for services. And these two Bachram are having services, and they're doing a fantastic job. And
and it was pouring rain.
It was pouring rain. I mean, when it rains there, it really was pouring when we were there.
It was banging on the roof.
We must have been there back in February. It was February when it was winter. Well, whenever it was winter time here. Anyway, so there's a man who comes to the two Bachram.
Someone came. It was lunchtime. We were all sitting down eating.
Exactly.
And this guy walks in. He wasn't there for services. He just walks in. And he said, "Where's the rabbi? I need to talk to the rabbi." And the Buchers said, "Well, the rabbi is out of town." And he said, "I need to talk to them. I need to know my wife is having a baby, and I need to know what to do."
Yeah, I need to know what to do to make my child Jewish.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first young man is shaking in his boots. He has no idea whether this is a very nice philanthropic person, or a person who will make your minyan at the last minute when you call. They were shaking their boots, and they're like,
didn't know what to say.
He didn't know what to say. He turns to the other Bacher and says to him, Rabbi, well, tell me, how can I get this this taken care of and everything. And the other bacher is shaking in his boots. And I'm sitting there and I say, excuse me, they don't have the answer.
But I do.
But I do. The two bacherim are looking at me like, uh-oh, what's going to come out of Mr. Pine's mouth or so. So I said to the man, I said, you know, your wife is a local woman here. I said, how long have you been living here? He said, 17 years. I said, so you're here and you understand what's going on. And he was an Israeli who established himself there in Taiwan. And I said, the most important thing you do, and he knew it was going to be I'm pretty sure he knew it was going to be a girl.
I think it was a girl. Yeah.
He knew it. I said, teach your daughter when you die how to bury you as a Jew. Because in Taiwan and in the Orient, a lot of times they cremate bodies. And he looked at me and he was happy with the answer. I said, you and I both know that it is what it is or so. But the most important thing is that you're buried as a Jew and they know that you're Jewish and you teach your daughter. That's the most important thing that she can do for her father. And he was happy. The man leaves your Chabad house. This is when you had it was a storefront, but you had a basement. I don't know if you're in the same place. And he left. He was happy. And the two boys looked at me like, Mr. Pine, how'd you do that and everything? I mean, I said, well, you know, he can't make the baby Jewish. So you have to explain to him, be buried as a Jew. They thought it was one of the most brilliant things that they ever saw and everything. And so these two boys, they were all finished with everything. And we ended up that afternoon, they had no one else there. We were the last ones because when we go on shlichus, we want to visit the shluchim. So we had two bachers that we were doing shluchim with. We took them to the zoo. And I explained to him, listen, you're here for a month. You didn't know what this guy was. I handled it, but now you got to go figure out how to do things. And you're here for a month. You got to find other Jews. The rabbi left you here in charge of his Chabad house. Now you got to do what the Rebbe wants. And that's the end of our story.
That's a beautiful story. Thank you, Mr. Pine, for sharing it. Appreciate it. Wow. It's wonderful. See, we bring you the story about Chabad in Taiwan.
I had no idea. First of all,
you broke up on us. You froze up. Just the best part. All right, now you're back. You froze up for about 5 seconds there. We lost the last 5 seconds. Yeah, you froze up for about 5 seconds.
You know how hot it is here. Did I freeze? I wish I froze.
Well, come here. It's snowing here, so. Okay, Rabbi Tabib, we want to really express our appreciation.
Well, Mr. Pine, I must say, I'm overwhelmed with the story. It's beautiful. I wonder who this guy is. I don't know why the Bacher never sent me a report. Maybe because they were shaking in their boots. Well, you definitely saved the day. I could say with the nice part of the community, which is people coming here for work. Unfortunately, you cannot ignore it. A lot of people here are married to local women, and that poses, of course, a big challenge for us. We do have every now and then a case where someone's serious about conversion, but in most cases, it is a traumatic thing that the intermarriage and everything, and kids aren't Jewish, and not easy. We have to handle with this, and hopefully, we managed to save several souls. Not do that mistake, but hopefully Hashem will help us that we won't have to follow those things. Hopefully people would.
All right, Rabbi, you kind of froze up on us. I hope you can hear us. But you were great. We really appreciate your time. And
okay, maybe the signal's not.
It's sort of coming and going a little bit. Yeah.
Okay,
but we want to thank you. I know you changed your schedule around. We really appreciate it. And you're very articulate in sharing it. Living in Taiwan, man, that's nuts. But it's so beautiful to hear about it. And Hatzlacha, Rabbi, with your building and your mikveh and your restaurant. And we look forward to the time we can travel again. We should meet you in Yerushalayim with Mashiach. Hatzlacha, Rabbi, and your shlichus. A beautiful story. So, Lag Baimer. Thank you so much, Rabbi. Really, really.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Okay, good night, everybody. I'll send out the recording. Really appreciate it. Sorry, the technology sort of broke up on us there, Mel. We couldn't get your question, but hopefully you referenced it. And tomorrow night, we'll finish up with some more Parsha and more great guests to come. So good night, everybody. Thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Pine for sharing their story. And we'll see you tomorrow night.